Welcome back, everyone. Okay, today's explainer, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little unnerving. We're going on a really atmospheric, deep investigation into the hidden architecture of the internet. We all use the web literally every single day, checking the weather, scrolling, banking, whatever. But there is an entire shadow structure operating right beneath our fingertips. So grab a coffee and settle in, because we're gonna peel back the layers to expose what's actually happening in the digital shadows. Let's get right into it. Think about this quote for a second. There is a part of the internet that doesn't even exist on Google. That's kind of chilling, right? I mean, when we search for something, we just assume search engines have the whole internet neatly cataloged, but they really don't. There are entirely hidden websites out there, places where hackers, scammers, and some highly dangerous communities hide completely out of sight. Honestly, just trying to access these areas can be incredibly risky. But today, we're going to safely peek into this unindexed digital world, famously known as the dark web. Section 1. The Internet Iceberg. Mapping the digital world. Okay, so to really grasp how this hidden world functions, we have to map it out. And honestly, the absolute best way to visualize the internet structure is by comparing it to a giant iceberg floating in a deep, dark ocean. What's truly mind-blowing here is just the sheer scale of the disproportion. That tiny visible tip at the very top, that's the surface web. That represents literally every website, article, video, and social media post you can find using standard search engines. It feels infinite to us, but actually, it's tiny. Now, look below the waterline. That massive hidden underwater section glowing an ominous red, that represents the unindexed internet, and way down at the very bottom of that lies the dark web. So the crucial takeaway is understanding this stark contrast. The visible surface we use every single day is completely dwarfed by this massive, unindexed darkness that actually requires highly specialized browsers just to access. Section 2. Why the darkness exists. Let's talk about the dual nature of privacy. Now, you might be wondering, okay, if this hidden network is so risky, why was it ever built in the first place? Like, who intentionally creates a sanctuary for the untraceable? Well, just look at the stark contrast in who actually uses it. On the one hand, you've got journalists and oppressive regimes who absolutely need complete anonymity just to protect their sources. You have governments using these exact same encrypted networks to secure highly classified communications. They literally need this darkness to stay safe. But on that exact same network, utilizing the exact same technology, you've got hackers executing devastating cyber attacks and scammers running massive illicit fraud rings. It's an extreme duality, right? The dark web is, at the end of the day, a neutral tool. It acts as a shield for vulnerable people seeking necessary privacy, while simultaneously acting as the perfect cover for dangerous cybercriminals hiding their tracks. Section 3. Dangerous hidden marketplaces. Trading in the shadows. As we descend a bit deeper into this digital ocean, we hit the hidden marketplaces. And look, we're going to objectively examine what actually happens inside these highly encrypted, anonymous chat rooms. We're not going to sit here and glorify any of this with operational details, but we absolutely need to understand the threat landscape. You have fake identity markets that are dedicated entirely to trading forged passports, stolen credentials, and breached data. Then there are scam marketplaces, functioning as highly organized, full-blown financial fraud networks. And perhaps most unsettling of all are the creepy forums. These basically act as hubs for blackmail and some profoundly disturbing communities. When you view it categorized like this, the sheer scale and organization of this terrifying ecosystem is pretty staggering. Section 4. Tracking global cybercrime, the law enforcement battle. But hey, criminals don't just operate in a vacuum without pushback. The dark web is essentially ground zero for an incredibly high-stakes game of cat and mouse between global cybercrime networks and international authorities. And the pacing of this digital war, it is relentless. Picture an intense, state-of-the-art FBI cyber investigation room. Alarms triggering, data streaming in. Operations are constantly being initiated. Authorities are literally staring at glowing world maps, actively tracking the digital footprints of global cybercrime and intercepting data from live scam networks. It is a full-on 24/7 global defense operation. The system status is perpetually active. Surveillance never really stops. Global authorities are constantly infiltrating and monitoring these deeply hidden hacking communities, working around the clock to gather intelligence, figure out who the masterminds are, and dismantle these incredibly dangerous digital networks before they can compromise critical infrastructure or, just everyday citizens. Section 5. The psychology of anonymity. Let's look at the human element. Let's just slow the pace down for a second here. I want us to step away from the flashing terminal screens and the law enforcement battles. Let's zoom out from the tech and look at the profound digital fear and the psychological toll this environment creates on the human mind. Anonymity is, well, it's a wildly powerful psychological state. Being in that dark digital void fundamentally alters human behavior by completely removing all identifying consequences. And honestly, that explains everything. When a person is floating in a lonely digital space, completely hidden behind an unbreakable mask of absolute anonymity, human behavior transforms entirely. The normal social contracts we all live by? Gone. The fear of consequences? It just vanishes. And for many people, that psychological shift is severe enough to let them tap into a very dark part of their psyche.
Section 6, Myths versus Reality. Is it really dangerous?
Okay, let's take a step back and balance our perspective. It's time to separate the sensationalized Hollywood horror movie myths from the stark, objective reality. Let's just look at the facts. It's not a horror movie. At its absolute core, it is simply a piece of technology. It's a hidden tool. Its most defining and powerful feature is total anonymity. Ultimately, the dark web is really just a mirror of human intention. It's used by some people as an absolutely essential shield for privacy and safety in a dangerous world, and unfortunately, it's used by others to hide their absolute darkest, most destructive impulses. Which leaves us with this final, kind of haunting thought. The technology itself isn't inherently evil, but it absolutely forces us to ask, if granted complete anonymity, what does a human truly become? It's a super provocative question about the true nature of humanity when you just strip away all the consequences. Take some time to think about that one. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this structured journey brought you some clarity on what is an incredibly complex topic. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.